Hello, it's fantastic that you could join us for this special Easter episode of InFocus Recouched.
Now, of course, the Easter story is the very heart of Christianity, no matter what time of year it is.
Yeah.
But of course, a lot of people forget this, and for them, Easter is all about...
chocolate. And junk food generally.
Yeah.
But today, we're going to be learning about how chocolate can actually be a force for good in the world, and even a force of good for your health.
Ooh. We're also got some tips for Kent to be a better husband.
Oh, okay, it's going to be like that, is it? And some tips for Dora about the importance of folate for when she's finally married and having dozens of babies.
Whatever. Time for some chocolate.
All this chocolate is dark chocolate, and why would you bring this in?
Good question, James. There have been quite a few studies over the years showing that dark chocolate may actually deliver some health benefits.
Well, there you go. There's finally some good news.
There is. And in particular, a recent large study looked at all those health benefits and found that eating a small amount of high-quality dark chocolate can lower your blood pressure, help prevent blood clots, reduce inflammation in the body, even lower insulin resistance, and lots of particular reasons why people could benefit from eating just a small amount of dark chocolate.
Just a small amount. You just clarify that.
Okay,
we'll come back. So let me just make this clear, because I want to make sure. Like, I love chocolate. I love all kinds of chocolate: white chocolate, milk chocolate, dark chocolate too. Not milk chocolate?
No, because the reason why we think dark chocolate has these benefits is because of a very high content of flavonoids. These are what they call polyphenolic compounds. They have strong antioxidant powers in the body. And everyone's heard of green tea, black tea, or even red wine or grape juice, dark grape juice being rich sources of antioxidants.
Sure. Or the dark grapes, right?
Yeah, and this actually comes from the skin of the grapes. But when you look at the content in dark chocolate, it has much more.
Really?
So it's a heavy hitter. It actually beats everything else when you're looking at something like the ORAC score, which is one way of determining antioxidant.
So actually, dark chocolate has more of these beneficial components than even dark grape juice, etc. Okay, wow, that's amazing. So is there a particular cocoa content we should be looking for?
Well, what people should check for is that cocoa is listed first on the ingredient list, and a high quality, more expensive chocolate will have that. Other chocolates, of course, will have sugar listed first. Because it's in the cocoa fraction of the chocolate that you find these compounds.
Wow.
Now, you might like to taste one, James.
Sure, why not? I think I'll go with this one. It's got the fair trade label, which is important. We had another segment on that. So
let me know what you think when you taste this, because there's something that's quite unique when it comes to the flavour profile of dark chocolate.
It's a bit bitter, isn't it?
It's bitter, right. And these polyphenolic compounds are actually bitter, so that's what you're looking for. And as one of my good friends who's a GP always says, the reason he likes to have the dark one is because it stops him from overeating chocolate. He can only have a little square, and thereby he stops. And that's because of the bitter compounds. But you know, you can't tell just by looking at the colour whether it's a good quality dark chocolate. The colour can be quite misleading.
Now, what's this over here?
This is something even better. This is raw, unprocessed cocoa powder, which is then used to make the dark chocolate. So if you wanted to avoid any added sugar, you'd want to go for this. So it just looks like cocoa powder, but this has a very, very high level of these antioxidants.
So how would you use that, Sue? Because
I just add a spoon in my soy milk at night. If I'm ever craving something like chocolate flavour, that's what I would add. But I also use it in cooking. You can use it in many ways.
And I guess you can sprinkle on top of desserts too sometimes.
You can.
It just sort of gives that rich flavour.
And it's bitter. So remember, you can add honey, or you can add any of these things, but it's bitter because it's rich in these antioxidant compounds. But you know, if you were thinking about getting some dark chocolate to have at home, you probably should check with the manufacturer of your favourite brand, because they don't all have a high level of these flavonoid compounds.
So it's kind of tricky, so you can't...
It's very tricky. They're starting to come out with some chocolates around the world that they're actually declaring how much of these antioxidants are in there. But at the moment you can't tell just by looking at it. However, bitterness tends to be a bit of a guide.
Okay, so the bitter it is, the less palatable it is, the better it is.
Right. So just a small amount. And that's the thing. You don't need to have a lot. Something like one of those squares. So 5 to 10 grams is all you need to get those particular health benefits. And with that much, of course, you're not going to pad out the waistline too much.
That's
but if
right.
you're going to get stuck into a whole block of chocolate, you could be in serious trouble.
Well, thanks so much, Sue.
I've got to say, Dora, I love dark chocolate. Even the real hardcore stuff, you know, that 70, 80%.
No thanks. I can deal with one small piece of dark chocolate if I have to, but that's it.
Yeah. Hey, all the more for me then. We'll take a short break now, but we'll be back in a moment.
We live our lives running around, rarely stopping to ask ourselves where we're going and what our final destination is. In the end, our lives become little more than routine. Step beyond and discover a path that offers comfort, love and hope. Visit hopeoffer.com/step beyond or call 1300 300 389 for your free copy today.
Hi, welcome back. Now, Ken, you're going to need a notepad for this next segment.
Oh, okay.
Because it's all about being a better husband.
Hey, Dora, I did the interview, so I've heard it all before, but truthfully, I could probably do with a bit of a refresher.
Ha! I knew it. Let's take a look.
Well, you can't remember her anniversary, you don't know her shoe size, you're arguing all the time, your marriage is falling apart. Don't worry, there's an app for that.
That's true. Yes, and it's because of all those reasons why I developed this app.
Yeah, so I'd like to welcome you, Pastor Mark Riley. You're from a Baptist church down south of Sydney, is that right?
Yes, down in Camden Baptist Church.
But you're also an app developer on the side.
Well, I'm an app ideas person,
Right.
and had to get a team, Per Square Media. They built the app. I just said, there's my idea, can you guys build it? And 6 months later, they said, how's that? And I went,
So what exactly does the app do?
the app, well, you've got those things that helps you. It's to help guys stay out of the pitfalls.
Stay out of the doghouse.
Stay out of the doghouse. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And basically, the material has been from my wife and I, 18 years of marriage. We went through the storms, or we go through the storms and the valleys, and also the mountains of relationships. So I had so much material to work with. And so we found so many things that helps our relationship. And I thought, well, if we can do something that's going to help other people have, develop their relationship, or help other guys don't do this because it's not pretty going through it. So you got those things there that, obviously helps with you don't want to miss your wedding anniversary. They're not a good thing to
It's not pretty.
Do. Even just putting in date nights, reminders. So, I can put that in, and that way then it tells me, I've got to invest in this relationship because this is the most important relationship.
Because it's not that you don't care about your marriage, is it?
That's it.
It's just that you get caught up, you get busy,
Yep.
and suddenly you reach that crucial date and you think, I should have put in some preparation here. I should have thought of this at the right time, and that's what...
That's exactly right. Just those reminders saying, I've got a good date night coming up. Let's put some effort in, and I'll arrange something. You know what I mean? And
there's some sort of fighting fair referee function.
Yeah,
right?
there's an argument referee.
How does that work?
Yeah, well, that all came about because, again, going through just trying to work out what my wife might say something to me, but what I hear is very different.
Yeah.
And hence we have communication problems. And so pretty much this is just, if I could show you.
Yeah, show me.
We got argument referee. So it clicks on the argument referee, and there's two screens.
Yep.
One's a pink screen, and then when you switch it, and one's a blue screen.
Okay.
So when it's on pink,
his and hers, yeah.
that's it. When it's on pink, she talks, guys listen, and then once she feels that she's been listened to, then it's switch, he talks, she listens.
Right.
It's just a communication tool instead of the arguments going up on each other and everything else.
Simple idea. Does it work?
Oh, we found this. We needed this in our marriage because we just wouldn't listen to each other. And we went, this is not working. And so we're given this tool. I went, well, how can I put a tool into an app that's always there?
iTunes is on the
It's on
iApp
Google
Store?
Play and the App
And
Store.
Google Play, so Android and iPhone.
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
Well, there you go. And 99 cents, is that right?
Yeah, it's 99 cents.
This has been, I've seen it mentioned on The Project on Channel 10. I'm
right.
sure I've seen it on other mainstream media outlets as well.
It's been on Today's show with Carl Stefanovic. He interviewed me on there. But what it's been doing, what I'm really excited about, is the conversations that's taking place within the marketplace.
Yeah.
People are talking about their marriages. And I've been asked to do some seminars now. And I don't know what God's doing with all this, but what it's doing, what I have noticed is that marriage is on the agenda where everyone wants. I've never met anyone who says, "Look, I don't want to have a better marriage. I'm fine, thanks."
It's good, because we are talking a lot about, marriage these days, but usually we're talking about what sort of marriage and who's allowed to marry and who's not allowed to marry, and no one's really looking at, well, what is the state of marriage,
That's exactly
as we have it,
right.
and it's good to refocus on that, I think.
Absolutely, because our marriages, we're 50% divorce rate.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I'm in the middle of a series on weird from Craig Grushel. He wrote a book called Weird.
Oh, yeah.
And we're doing a series on weird at the moment. And he's all about saying we have to do things weird because normal isn't working.
Right, okay.
Our normal relationships, half of them are crashing in divorce.
Yep.
Both Christian, non-Christian.
Yep.
And to me, I'm not happy with that. And I thought, well, we've got to do something different. And if I could develop this app to help other marriages, then job done.
And you said you're hearing stories. Are you hearing stories that this app is helping?
Yeah, it's been amazing. There's a few things in here in there that Gary Chapman has written a book called Five Love Languages.
Yeah, okay.
And so I rang up Gary Chapman and got in touch with him, and he's given me permission to do a link through here.
Okay.
So people who have had no experience at all with this 5 love languages, and I'm finding both Christian and non-Christian people have had this. They're going, what's this love language stuff? And so you just follow the link, you do the questionnaire, takes 10 minutes, he'll do hers, she'll do his, and then it comes back and says, here's your love language, here's how to pour love into this partner. And so I'm finding just even my neighbours are putting it down and they're going, this is fantastic. And then I heard a story just 2 days ago. Somebody down in Adelaide, a pastor was talking to 2 guys who walked in his church. They were 2 bikies. And I don't know how the app came about, but they downloaded the app and they went up to the pastor and said, this is the best thing that's ever happened.
Wow.
And they're just raving about the app. And so this pastor told this guy rang me and said, mate, this is what's going on. And I'm finding more and more people are just saying they're investing in their marriages and making their marriages count because they want to have better marriages.
Wow.
And I'm excited by that.
No, that's
and
awesome.
If it, it'd be nice if it at least covered itself to be able to go, phew, thanks, I can pay my parents off.
Yep.
But at the end, like, I'm just so over the moon that marriages are on the agenda.
Yep.
That we've got to do something different because normal ain't working.
Hey, well, thanks so much for your time, Mark.
Mate.
Really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, check out the Legend Husband app at the App Store and also Google Play, and maybe transform your marriage. Thanks so much for your time, Mark.
Thanks, Heath, mate.
He's a fun guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I really like how, rather than just saying to himself, wow, that's a really great idea, aren't I clever? He actually went out there and made it happen.
Yeah, I'm impressed. It's a pity, though, that the Legend Husband app isn't available anymore.
Yeah, sadly.
But still, I think there were some great tips in that interview that you can use to keep a relationship going even without the app.
Yeah, good call, Dora. We'll take a quick break now. We'll be back in just a sec.
Father, I can't connect the dots through the little that I understand. What words can I say to reach you? How can I know that you are there, listening, hearing, caring? My words are broken, weak, and powerless. But I know your power is limitless. What can I say?
Planning your future can be a daunting task. What you want to do, who you want to be, and the road ahead can often be unpredictable. No one really knows what the future holds. Avondale. It's education designed for life.
Welcome back. We're going to take a look now at a segment recorded way back in 2011 with Dr. James Wright, but it's still as relevant as ever because it's all about the importance of folic acid or folate.
Okay, which is, of course, especially important if you're pregnant or you're maybe planning on being pregnant.
Hey, let me get married first. Let's take a look.
Now, Doc, you've got a slice of bread with you this morning, and lunchtime was, what, a little while ago.
That's right.
What's the bread all about?
Well, now, we talk about bread, and this was evoked by an article which occurred just a short time ago in the Medical Journal of Australia, which all Australian doctors should read. Most of them don't, but they should, I think. I do, and get my up-to-date information about it.
Right.
And would you believe it, in Australia and probably lots of other Western countries, our blood is now much better quality. We have more and better and richer red blood cells, the key ingredient to our blood, because since 2009 in Australia, mandatory addition of folic acid occurred.
What's folic acid exactly, Doc?
Well, folic acid is really one of the vitamins, and the mandatory addition of folic acid to bread came about. It's also in Wheat Bix and lots of other things, but bread which we eat every day. Now, the interesting thing is that folic acid is required for good blood,
yes.
And if we have enough, that's fine. If we don't have enough, that's bad news. But also, pregnancy, women must have adequate folic acid. Otherwise, there's a chance of the baby being born with neural tube defect, a horrible condition, which is horrible.
Right.
Totally preventable by having simply 3 slices of bread a day.
I remember this, Doc. I remember when my wife was pregnant, she was very keen to get enough folic acid in her system, and she was very happy for those fortified foods that have the folate added. Absolutely.
Now, we can take the tablet form. We only need 4 micrograms of folic acid a day, which is very, very small. I take a 4 milligram microgram tablet myself, and I'm not pregnant actually, and I don't plan to.
Oh, good.
So it's good for ordinary people as well as pregnant women, but 3 slices, 100 grams, not very much, is it?
No,
and
no.
The good stuff in it, apart from all the other good things that bread contains.
Tell me something extra. Is folic acid found naturally occurring in foods?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, folic acid, like most of them, all the other vitamins, are found naturally in food, yes, of course. But with our Western diet, food is mashed and fiddled with so much, you don't know how much stuff really is in the food you're eating.
Okay.
And
now, tell me, Doc, if I was to go to your website and type in folate or folic acid, would I find some of this information?
Oh, absolutely. Our website, docwright.com.au. And you go in there, type in whatever you like, and up comes 4 or 5 different topics about it, different little stories about it. Read it and it tells you everything that you should know.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Doc. Well, there you go. We can consider ourselves informed on folate now, can't we?
Yep, but this final interview is the one I've actually been looking forward to because there's more chocolate.
There should always be more chocolate.
It's a pleasure to welcome Carolyn Kitto to the set. Carolyn represents Stop the Traffic, an organization focused on, of all things, the chocolate industry. Now, Carolyn, we all love chocolate. What on earth could be wrong with the chocolate industry?
Well, James, I knew that you would probably love some, so I brought you some chocolate.
Don't tell my wife, you know.
Okay.
I'll save that.
Chocolate is something, yes, that we all love. And there's good chocolate that we should all be eating. But one of the things that many people aren't aware of is that chocolate also has a dark side. And the dark side of the chocolate industry is that much of the chocolate in the world is sourced from the west coast of Africa. And in little countries that some people have never even heard of, like Burkina Faso, Mali, Ghana, Cameroon. Children are sold, they're kidnapped, they're trafficked, and they are involved in harvesting the cocoa crop in the Ivory Coast or Côte d'Ivoire, and that chocolate ends up being the chocolate that we eat.
Okay, now let me ask you this, and that is, why on earth do they need children to do this job? Because unemployment's probably an issue in the west coast of Africa. I've traveled a little bit in Africa, and it's not like there's an excess of employment. Why do they need children to do this job?
Because children are cheap. children are much cheaper in terms of using them to harvest these crops.
Right.
It's a complex system, the world trade system.
Absolutely.
And when tariffs were removed from countries in West Africa as part of their forgiving of their debt many years ago, they found it very difficult to compete in the world market.
Sure, because I guess chocolate is produced also in Central America, which is where I think it's from originally. So maybe there was that competitive thread. Is that right?
There is that competitive thread. One of the tragedies today is that whereas if you bought a slave in the time of the transatlantic slave trade, that slave would cost you in equivalent dollars today around 40,000 Australian dollars.
Right.
You can actually buy 2 children in the west coast of Africa for $90.
Whoa!
So the value of life has reduced dramatically.
Well, that's really just shocking. Now, when I go out and buy a chocolate bar, whether it's one of these or one of the ones in front of us, or all the other chocolates, especially now at Easter, we're buying eggs, we're buying bunnies, we're buying every conceivable kind of chocolate product. I guess I don't normally think about West Africa. You know what I mean? These are multinational companies. They're doing business. Is there any way that I can go out into the marketplace and buy chocolate? Because, the truth is I'm probably not going to give it up anytime soon. And not be a part of this horrific practice that's going on there.
Yeah. And we don't want anybody to give up chocolate.
Okay.
So you can relax there. But what we do want is that we want people to exercise their consumer pressure in the chocolate that they buy. And there's a couple of ways of doing that. First of all, with the chocolate that you buy, you can look for certified chocolate.
Okay.
So there's a few different ones. You'll find this is a fair trade certified on this.
So I'll just hold that up. So this means that there's no slave labor involved
in the production of that cocoa.
And this is a chocolate bar. I think this comes from Aldi, right?
That comes from Aldi.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Cadbury Dairy Milk also uses the fair trade system, and all Cadbury Dairy Milk that's in bars is also fair trade.
Well, that's
so
a blessing, because this is my wife's favourite. So you can see the little logo down there for folks at home, that it has that little fair trade logo. That means that this chocolate bar, am I right, Carolyn?
Yep.
There's no slave labour involved in it.
No slave labour involved in it. So you look for that.
It might not be the best for you, but at least your conscience will be free.
Yep. Then if you go to the Kit Kat, the Kit Kat is a Nestle product.
Right.
And if you look for UTZ certification, that's the certification method that they use.
And that's a lot more subtle, isn't it? You sort of have to put on your reading glasses for this one, but it's right over here.
If you buy a big block, it's larger.
Okay. So that's the incentive. You better buy a lot of Kit Kats to get that straight.
And then Mars, all of the Mars bars in Australia are now, they use Rainforest Alliance.
Okay.
So that's a little green frog in the corner there.
Well,
so any of those 3 certifications is what you look for.
So let me get it. There's Fair Trade, which is this right here.
Yep.
You've got the UTZ, which is UTZ, excuse me. That's right here, and that's kind of pretty subtle. And this one, Rainforest Alliance with the frog.
Yes.
That's a lot more subtle. Okay. But I guess there'd be a lot of chocolate that don't have any of these certifications.
There would be a lot of chocolate that don't have that certification. Now, that doesn't mean that the chocolate companies aren't doing good things in those countries. It doesn't mean that some of their chocolate isn't sourced from good places. What it does mean is you can't be sure in the product that you are purchasing. Whereas this certification gives you a guarantee.
Are there certified Easter eggs?
Now, this is a bit of an issue because there aren't many certified Easter eggs.
But at least if there's some.
There's some. Cadbury has one of their eggs is certified. One of their dairy milk eggs, it's a medium size, about this big in a box, is certified.
Well, if you can look for that at home when you're out buying your Easter eggs, a Cadbury, about this big Easter egg with the certification. Anyone else?
Chocolateur is another brand
that you can get. Company, I think,
you can get that in Woolworths, and I think you can get it in Coles, and they are certified. Then we start to run a bit dry. You kind of have to go for the online fair trade sort of suppliers. But one of the things you can do, and we've got on our website, a resource that you can download, is go to the manager of your local supermarket and say, I'm only wanting to buy certified Easter eggs. Help me with the range of choices that you've got available for me.
So use your consumer, your power as a consumer
Absolutely.
to get this change. Now, a lot of our people watching the show are going to be churchgoers.
Yes.
Certainly not all of them, but do you have any resources for churches where we can get involved and be a part of this movement?
Sure. If you go to our website, which is www.stopthetraffic, that's TRAFFIK, it's European, .org, you'll find a whole range of resources there, and that includes resources for faith groups and churches.
And you can see that right there on your web page. You can see the web address on your TV screen. Just one final question. These are some of the biggest companies in the world.
Yes.
Cadbury, Mars, M&M, Nestle. What about Ferrero?
Well, they're the 5th largest company. And when we started this campaign, this issue has been known since about 2001.
Right.
The chocolate industry doesn't deny it.
Right.
They've been saying that they will bring about change on and off since that time, but it's too little, too slow.
Okay.
And one of the things that we've found is that applying consumer pressure and asking these chocolate companies, initially when we said to Cadbury, we want certified chocolate, they said we can't do it.
Right.
9 months later, they found a way of doing it.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, what's the campaign
Ferrero,
here?
we have a campaign. You'll be aware that Ferrero has a line of products called Divine Creations.
Sure. Let me just hold that up for our viewers.
And we're wanting to express to Ferrero our divine frustration at their slowness of giving us a certified product.
Because these guys are yet, of the major producers, they're the only one that doesn't have a certified product.
Of the major producers, they're the 5th largest in the world, and they don't have a certified product.
Well, I think that's something for our viewers at home to get involved in. We have the website right there on your screen. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for you and also the rest of the folks in this effort. I think what you're doing is really wonderful.
Some awesome information there.
Yeah.
And I noticed when you check out the chocolate aisle at the supermarket, there's so much variety and there's a lot of options when it comes to fair trade or environmentally friendly or slave-free chocolate.
Yeah, I think it's a move in the right direction.
Yeah.
Totally. It's similar with coffee as well, and even clothing.
Yeah.
But I reckon there's a lot more work to be done to make sure that farmers and other producers, whether they're in Australia or elsewhere, get a fair deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose that every time we flash our credit cards, we're kind of pushing the market in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
It pays to know what you're buying, doesn't it?
Yeah. Look, I think you got it. I think you got that right. Anyway. We're out of time. Thanks so much for watching the program this week. Have a happy and blessed Easter break.
We'll see you next time.